Hey Tackle Warehouse fans, Mike Iaconelli here. Want to wrap up the BASS Elite event on Cayuga Lake in upstate New York. Man, what a tournament. Lots of fish caught, lots of big bass, and over 4 days we saw different conditions. We saw the first and last day with windy conditions, cloud cover, and then the second and third day, flat calm. And I used 2 different techniques over 4 days to help me get a top 12. I want to talk to you a little bit about the baits and the techniques that I used. You know, let's talk about the windy days. Days 1 and 4, for me, it was power fishing all the way. The fish were active, they were biting. You didn't have to slow down, you didn't have to finesse. And I relied on 2 presentations. You know, the first one was a spinnerbait. Spinnerbait's a great windy bait. And I used a bait that I really love when the conditions get like that. It's a bait by Molix, and it's called a Vetinator spinnerbait. And I used the big size. I used a 5/8 ounce spinnerbait. Just put on a Berkley power bait. It's a Power Pro Rib trailer on it. And I slow rolled it through the grass. Especially early in the morning, I caught a couple key kicker fish on that bait. But the bait that got a lot of the work when I was fishing around grass, and grass that had some kind of change in it. It was a hole in the grass, a point in the grass, where rock mixed in with the grass. Anytime I got around those conditions, I pitched a real heavy creature bait. And I used the Berkley Havoc Devil Spear. That's that color called Watermelon Magic Red Flake. I used a 3/4 ounce VMC tungsten weight and a 4/0 VMC heavy duty flipping hook. You know, basically I'd let this thing fall in there next to the grass, let it hit the bottom, hop it twice, make another cast. Could cover a lot of water and elicit a reaction strike. When it was cloudy and windy, those 2 baits did the damage. But when it got calm and slick and sunny, that stuff didn't work. The spinnerbait didn't work, the big flipping bait didn't work, and I had to go to finesse techniques, and that was key. And spin and rod finesse techniques really saved the day for me on days 2 and 3. And I used 2 different techniques. You know, the first one is, you know, really a tried and true technique when it gets tough, and it's a drop shot. And I used a drop shot rig with a bait that I love. It's a Berkley Havoc bottom hopper. I used the 6.5 inch green pumpkin magic, which is the green pumpkin with the silver flake. And I did the same thing I did with the flipping bait, which is I pitch it into the holes, into the grass clumps. I used a 1/4 ounce VMC tungsten drop shot weight, and I used a 2/0 VMC regular gauge flipping hook. And then the other technique, and this is the one that really shined because nobody was doing it, was this little French fry technique. And you've heard me talk about it before, and it really played a big part in this event. And it's a Berkley Havoc backslide. It's just a little 4-inch watermelon seed color French fry. And I'd fish that thing on a 2/0 light wire VMC hook. But because the water depth was 7 to 10 foot, instead of fishing it just out of the pack, all I would do is get a little insert nail. VMC makes one called a neko rig weight. And I would take that and I'd just jam it into the tail of that bait. And I'd basically do the same thing. I'd throw it into the holes, I'd throw it into the sandy spots between the weed clumps, and that thing falling backwards on those slick, calm days really was a trigger for those fish. Cloudy and windy, power fishing, slick and calm, finesse fishing. Real quick on the rods, on the spinnerbait, I used an Ike Series 7-foot medium action power rod. On the flipping rod, I used a 7/6 medium heavy Ike Series Abu Garcia. On both of them, I used the MGXTREME, great reel. And then on the spinning stuff, man, this is the real deal for me. Because I was fishing around heavy grass, I used the 7/6 medium spinning rod, Ike Series Abu rod. And this is a long rod. It's got some more backbone. When I hook those fish in that grass, I could get them out, no problem. If you look, of course, I used braid in this event to a fluoro leader. I went with the 10-pound Berkley trilene braid to 8-pound Berkley trilene 100% fluorocarbon. Killer combination on the finesse rods. On the spinnerbait and on the flipping rod, I used 20-pound Berkley trilene 100%. Man, for sure for me, it was playing the conditions, power fishing when it's windy, finesse fishing when it's calm, and that's what helped me get a top 12 here at Cayuga Lake. See you later. Mike Iaconelli for Tackle Warehouse. Was a 3/0 VMC trailer hook. A lot of the fish were slapping at the bait, but basically but you ready for this one? Here's the real gem. 4.2 ounces. Let's start with the hook. We've got a brand new hook this year called the Neko rig hook. And if you look at this